It's a very different Frankel that majestically powers up Warren Hill now to the one Sir Henry Cecil first inherited. He's ready for what could be his final test on Kipco Champions Day. How we will miss him, but how we have fallen in love with him.
Frankel from Zoffany, but Frankel's unbeaten record is intact. Frankel now in full cry, Celebration and Immortal Verse. Two quality horses are made to look mere mortals as Frankel remains unbeaten and wins the QE2.
And it's all the one for Frankel. It's going to be 11 from 11 here. The champion of the world, Frankel in majestic form by 8 or 9 in the Queen Anne.
Frankel has been ridden in all his 13 races by Tom Queally. We caught up with the jockey on the eve of what could prove his most arduous test. Tom, it's been 2 years and 9 days since Frankel's first run and his last effort. How's he changed in that time?
Oh, he's changed a hell of a lot, really, from day one. He's matured as most horses do, and he's become the sort of the finished article, I suppose, the best way to describe him. He was a bit keen in his early days, but he's grown up and he's improved, and as I said, he's the finished article.
As a rider, is your job easier now than it used to be?
Oh, without a doubt, yeah, a lot easier. And you know, obviously I know him a lot better, so that sort of that helps as well. You know, the more you get to know a horse or a person or whatever, it's sort of easier to deal with it all.
We know in his early days he was quite a fizzy character. In his early races, particularly of course in the 2000 Guineas, did he give you a sign that he might be fizzy? Or what were the sort of warning signs from him?
Well, he was sort of anxious to get on with it, and sometimes he didn't settle as well as we'd have liked. But you know, Rome wasn't built in a day, and slowly but surely he's grown up all the time. And as I said, now, like, the last day at York was excellent. You know, he really dropped it for me, and made my life a lot easier. And you know, you're able to, from a jockey's point of view, you're able to do more on him.
Let's turn the clock back to the 13th of August 2010. A soft ground Newmarket maiden. He's sent off the 7-4 favourite, the only time in his career he hasn't been an odds-on favourite, and he won snugly by half a length from the excellent Nathaniel. Talk us through that race, because he didn't quicken just once in that race, he quickened twice. Yeah,
well, it was soft ground, and you know, he beat Nathaniel. We all know about him, and he settled okay, but I dropped him in a nice bit to get him to relax, and he sort of got there, and I was able to, like, sit and go again, which isn't an easy thing to do on softish ground. It's easy. A lot of horses can do it on quick ground, but certainly the special ones can sort of go up and down through the gears on slow ground. So the signs were there that he was quite nice, and I remember saying when I came back in that, you know, I thought he was okay. I was keeping a bit to myself, though, I suppose.
Well, what were the sort of vibes from Warren Place before that race? I mean, if one of your best pals had come up to you and said, sort of, you know, should I have a fiver on today, Tom, would you have said yes?
Yeah, he was nice, and I thought he'd run very well. And but with the runners at Warren Place, they normally improve for a run, and you know, some really, really good horses can, you know, from a lot of the big stables, some really, really good ones can get beaten first time out, and sometimes in effect it's a good thing, because they're gaining that little bit more experience before they sort of take on the real world. But no, I fancied him quietly on that day, but you know, I had no idea what lay ahead.
We went to Doncaster and had a little bit of an exercise canter there.
Frankel stretching right away. He's going to remain 2 from 2, and he might just have a touch of star quality about him. Frankel wins in the hands of Tom Queally.
15 days after that effort, he was at Ascot for the Royal Lodge. He beats Clammer by 10 lengths. I mean, that must have been a race where you thought afterwards, wow.
Yeah, there was the race at Doncaster. There was there wasn't much strength and depth to it, so everybody thought he was nice, but it was really only at Ascot when people, that's when people sort of latched on, and there was sort of the wow factor that day, and a lot of people sort of said, it's as good a 2-year-old performance as they'd seen, but it was still only a Group 2, so it's very hard to to put it all together. But that was the day when everybody sort of slowly started to latch on.
And after that, of course, he went on to his Group 1 at Newmarket in the Dewhurst. And he comes back as a 3-year-old at Newbury in the Greenham. It was a fair enough comeback, beating its Celebration. And then you head off to the Guineas. Just talk us through that Guineas ride, though. I mean, in many ways, that will be the race that leaves the massive impression with Frankel, just pure power.
That was the moment when everybody's jaws sort of dropped and everybody went wow, and it was awesome to look at. But he didn't settle overly well, but he settled slightly better when he got to the front. But we're going a fairly decent gallop, and he grounded out very well. I mean, it was a sort of a demolition job, but that's, I suppose, as visually impressive as he's been.
And after Newmarket, Ascot for the St James's Palace Stakes. I guess that will be a day where everything didn't go right, but he proved he was so good when things don't go right, he can still win.
Yeah, exactly. A little bit like the Dewhurst, where he didn't drop it, and the Greenham he was keen enough, but he sort about Ascot, at least what I noticed was he settled, and he as you said, he won when everything didn't seem to go to plan, but that's the sort of horse you're dealing with.
Was that a scary race to ride in? Because he did take off at one stage, and then obviously it wasn't.
He was, but then I sort of thought to myself that he was starting to sort of slowly get there, and when he was in behind one, he sort of dropped it, and but he was getting there all the time, and as you said, when things don't go right, he's still able to overcome those sort of things.
So he demolishes then at Celebration once again in the QE2, and then at the Camford Cliffs, of course, in the Sussex Stakes. But this season, very much, I felt he's definitely better than ever. And if ever anyone thinks about keeping a horse in training, this is the horse to show you how you can improve.
This is the proof, and even for what he achieved at 3, he's gone on to improve, as you say, and. I mean, nothing can sort of get near him. The Lock-Inge was impressive, and we saw another sort of a demolition job at Royal Ascot again. So I mean, he's he really upped it a gear.
And Queally says go on the champ. It's Frankel that leads the way, and he opens up in tremendous style. 4 or 5 lengths clear of Celebration. The rest are well beaten off, and it's all the ones for Frankel. It's going to be 11 from 11 here. The champion of the world, Frankel, in majestic form by 8 or 9 in the Queen Anne. Brilliant performance.
He was rated 130 in the sort of 3-year-old days. Now he's up to 140. Let's just talk through that race at Ascot, where he beat Celebration by 11 lengths. Again, that was almost like a Guineas performance, except it was a controlled Guineas performance.
Yeah, exactly. He backed off and settled, and until I gave him the go ahead, then but when I did, it was instant, and there was more acceleration and sort of speed, and he sort of kicked them all into touch in the space of a few strides, and it was nice that he opened up a winning margin of what was it, 11 lengths. So it was, I suppose, one of the key races in his career.
And you make Prince Khalid Abdullah the happiest man for the rest of his life by winning the Juddmonte International. I'm very interested to know, though, whether you think he's a better horse or the same horse at a 1.25 miles or a mile, or maybe you'll just say he's the same horse whatever distance. But if you could say which race you'd like him to run in, would you like him to be in a mile race or a 1.25 miles? What makes it easier for you?
Well, the way he settled at York, I mean, he's come. It's a funny thing to say for a horse who's never been beaten, but he's come a long way from his early days, and yeah, the way he settled it at York was amazing, and you know, it's a strange thing to be able to sort of sit all the way to the furlong or half and then sort of kick away, and he still opened up a good distance between him and the rivals, but to be able to sort of sit and play with, you know, really high class Group 1 winners, it's a luxury that, you know, as a jockey you rarely get to feel.
It was back in 2000 that Queally rode his first ever winner on LARIFAARI at Clonmel, and he was soon to follow that with a tidy success on Tushna at Galway.
Beginning the run now to the final 200 yards, and Tushna on the far side. Bibi Karam putting in a big effort on the near side. Royal South flying on the rail. Tushna now from Bibi Karam and Royal South, and as they run to the line, Tushna's going to win it for Jim Bolger and Tom Queally second.
So you have your first winner in Ireland. 12 years later, you're riding the world's greatest racehorse. That's some journey in a relatively quick time.
Yeah, it is, and if you had said that to me back then, you know, it's never in your wildest dreams could you think that I'd be in this sort of position. And you know, I'm very, very fortunate, very lucky. You know, and I realise the sort of privileged position I'm in, and you know, it's funny in a way because no matter what I do from here on in, and whatever I've done before Frankel came along, you know, Frankel will be to the forefront of everyone's minds. But you know, it's been an amazing story, and it's, you know, it's something I'm very proud of to be associated with. And you know, I'm only the man on his back, but it's great to be a small part in a big story.
Can you imagine life after Frankel? Be a bit boring, won't it?
Yeah, well, I suppose everything will be a little bit of an anticlimax, because no matter what good winners I ride or I don't ride, they'll always, you know, how does he compare with, they'll always ask how does he compare with Frankel. So,
of course, Tom, it's not all about the jockey and Frankel. Frankel's trainer, Sir Henry Cecil, seems to have played an absolute blinder. What would you say about him?
Yeah, what can you say about Sir Henry that hasn't been said before? Henry's got a great way with horses. He's got a great feel for them. He does a lot of his training on instinct and feel, and he can see and do things that you sort of wonder at times, and then like it's only maybe a few months down the line you see where he was coming from, which, you know, he's amazing really. He's a great way with them, a good understanding of horses and a good understanding of people. He's very easy to ride for. He doesn't complicate with too many instructions. A lot of the time he leaves it to me, so I understand how he trains, and I think he understands how I ride. So and we get on well. It's a relationship that's working well, and you know, I'm very grateful to the chances he's given me.
So you're in the paddock 15 minutes before the Kipco Champion Stakes. One of the biggest crowds ever at Ascot at that time of year. Everyone needs Frankel to win as much as anything. What does Tom Queally feel at that moment?
The minute I get on his back, you just switch your horse, and you know, when I'm on horseback, that's when I'm happiest. And you know, I'd sort of pat him on the neck and talk away to him. And
do you talk to him on the way down?
Yeah, I do. Yeah. Sounds nutty, but I do. Yeah, we get him nice and relaxed to the start, and you know, it's just, you know, I know it is more than any other race, but you have to treat it like any other race, because if you start getting too worked up about it, or then you ride differently. And
do you wish it wasn't Ascot in some ways, though? Because I think Ascot's a tricky track in that it's a relatively short straight once you swing. I know he's won there, and you'll say, well, he's won there, what are you talking about? But you know what I mean? Ascot can be a nasty track sometimes to ride, that bend. And
I wouldn't think so, no.
I've found that when I've ridden it.
Yeah,
From my little box, it can be a horror track.
Oh, but don't get jocked often for you.
You'll be putting out overweight if you do. And just about the Kipco Champion Stakes, obviously if Cirrus des Aigles turns up, I mean, he's rated now £10 behind you, which isn't a massive difference. I mean, he's a proper horse, but then again, as you've already said in this conversation, Nicholas Abbey's a proper horse, and Frankel walked past him. But you know, you obviously, this isn't just a case of turning up and winning, is it? You've got to go and win the race.
Yeah, you have to go in there. You've got to win any race, and you can't get complacent. You can't take things for granted. But you have to go there, as if everything is a danger. And in effect, I suppose everything is, and could be a danger. But if he turns up as good as he can do, then I think they'll struggle to give him a race for it. But you have to be on your guard and be ready for anything.